rolling. So, we just finished up I guess, should we do introductions, I guess?
Sure.
Feel free to introduce yourself if you want.
Hey guys, I'm Mike. Yeah.
Alright.
I came to hop on Mike's channel.
Yep, and yeah, this is, my alt. I've been using the call sign mainly just because, fuck it.
Okay.
But yeah, we just got out of Until Dawn, Sony's newest video game adaptation, and honestly, okay, so fully fair in advance, just saying I did look up some stuff about this just to be, because I usually watch at least like 2 or 3 horror people that like usually go for this type of stuff, and one of them didn't really have the most positive review of it, and honestly, I think that lowballed it for me just enough for me to actually kind of like it. Like, just starting off with general impressions, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would coming in.
I did too. I played the games. Played Until Dawn, the game, and I was thinking it was going to be more like the video game. But it had a lot of twists and turns in it that made it different, and it was a different type of experience. I don't think I've ever really seen a movie done like this, at least to my knowledge. And it was cool to see some Easter eggs from the game in there. If you paid attention to some small details, you could see some Easter eggs in there. It was nice looking at the missing people board and seeing a cat and a bicycle. So I hope they get found sometime.
Yeah. It's certainly interesting, to say the least. I'd say that certain parts of it I wouldn't mind further delving into, either in some form or another, where it's like, because the entire minor spoiler, or major spoilers, I guess, the entire thing's built around a time loop mechanic. Admittedly, that's like in the trailers.
Yeah, the sand dial.
But it's also like, hey, each fear is dependent on the person, which honestly reminds me of the mechanic. If you remember the mechanic from the game itself, where you're like, hey, I don't like spiders, and the next time you meet up with Stormare's character, there's a spider on his desk, or that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Where I think it's like that idea. I like where that idea came from. While I do think some of the execution's a little bit lacking, because, like, and I think actually some of the ideas are, in fact, very much there. Like, they don't really broadcast the fact that the killer in this, the one that's doing the mask thing that Josh does in the original story, we see how that happens with her in Loop 2.
Yeah.
But we don't see her join that part of the night. I think it's what that's trying to not explicitly mention, but it's what it's going for, is quite literally, you can join the night in multiple ways. I'm assuming that there was a version that they could have become a werewolf or any of that type of stuff. But it's like, some of the ideas don't always congrue, because it's like, okay, while they do explain the spontaneous combustion from the water that happens on night 3 or 4, whatever it was, it doesn't explain how that would cause you to join the night. Well, it's like, because you can get the idea with the Wendigo, you get the idea with the concept of if the werewolf was there, you can see it with the killer, and I'm like, okay, but what does that one do?
Yeah, I think they started diving a little bit into it, because if you look at the papers on the table, obviously spoiler, you look at the papers on the table, they showed the werewolf, they showed the Wendigo, but then when he showed his videos, the doctor's videos, Dr. Allen's videos, and the people were starting to turn, it seems like the characters should have started turning already, like faster than they did. They slowed that down a bit.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They had it really sped up at first, like, by Loop 2, that she was already getting, like, the first character, Megan was already getting some of the major characteristics, but then they skip ahead so far that we don't really get to see anything until it's all of a sudden night 13, and the only other person that's shown any symptoms is the other boyfriend.
Yeah, his spine was showing, and then...
But that was night 13.
Yeah, and then the girl, she started pulling her hair out, and then she started growing extra teeth. And then no one started growing extra teeth besides it. No one else really had symptom. Actually, no one really else really did.
Yeah, no one else really had
It was just those. It
symptoms.
was just two of them.
Yeah, and again, like I'm willing to let that be. Oh, because they mentioned like, oh, there can be people that last longer
Yeah.
or shorter, and you do actually see in the book there are a few instances where there's the name signed less times, quickly devolving, while other times it is as long as 13.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I assume that hey, maybe these people due to are slightly extra sturdy, they just last a little bit longer, but they might as well try to, like, again, either way, they end the loop on 13th night, thankfully for them, because, again, we can assume that at the very least, Megan and probably the boyfriend weren't going to make it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things. Let's see.
Yeah. It seemed like they start. They seemed like they start going one direction, and then it seems like to make the movie last a little longer and change things, they kind of changed another direction. Because, like I said, when they started showing the people in the room turning, a lot of those people should have turned already, but they didn't. So it didn't affect everyone. Because I think if it would have affected everyone, the movie probably would have ended. Yeah, it would have ended literally on that beginning of that night, and they even before that. Because remember when they showed the doctor's videos, they were already turning and they were already showing monster behavior. Remember he was eating that guy.
Yeah.
He was already eating that guy. But what was that, like night 7? He already started eating that guy.
Yeah,
And
no, again,
yeah,
it's that, and that's where the whole it acts differently for different people, which is again, which is an interesting application because if you, I remember in the game as well, you can have based on the choices you make as other people around Josh, how you treat Josh specifically after the whole like killer reveal
yeah,
in the game, that can lead to a slightly different whether or not he gives up hope and becomes a Wendigo as well, or if he just remains captured. Like it's an interesting. I can see how this was adapted is the main thing,
Yeah.
and like, and with what was the adaptation, I honestly think that Mr. Sandberg did a really good job. But there are definitely like complaints.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the lights, it was way too dark in way too many of those scenes for me to actually be able to see anything.
Yeah.
Like, there's a certain amount of I do need to see the thing to actually be somewhat afraid of it, and I know the team behind this did fantastic on those prosthetics. I want to see those prosthetics. It's a shame that I didn't get to see those prosthetics because it was so dark in that room, making that in that film the entire time.
Yeah. And they know the one thing I noticed is that when the killer first started hunting them and they hit him with a chair and everything, didn't affect him. But once they got down into that towards night 13, they wrapped this dude with some chairs downstairs.
Yeah, no, there was unfortunately a bit of the
yeah, man just got so weak.
The final act.
Yeah, he just got so weak that they beat him with some wooden legs of a chair and it took him down.
Well, they hit him with, I think it was, they threw a metal can at him, they threw a vase, then they started beating him up with chairs.
Yeah, that vase almost took him out.
And then they got him with his
hammer that four people had to pick up.
Yeah, admittedly, that one, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, 4 people had to pick up his hammer and just smash him in the face.
Yeah, again, there's certain interesting aspects. I definitely say that, honestly, there's a part of me that does wonder that if there was a different, like, because she gets possessed on night 3.
Yeah, but
she gets the lady gets Chloe gets possessed, and she starts going around. And then all of a sudden, the other killer that is presumably based on the fact they have similar masks, being possessed by the same thing, goes out of his way to kill her. And I wonder if he hadn't killed her, she would have still remained possessed on a future loop.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm wondering if that was the case.
Yeah, and another thing with that, they said that based off their fears. I wonder what her fear was with that, with the old lady and the oxygen mask.
Well, I think it was the whole withering away, similar to what the Wendigo is.
Yeah.
Because in that later scene.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. Honestly, I hope there's a second one. Once what they showed towards the end, there should be a second one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we didn't. I didn't know if I didn't even. Usually, I look at those movies if there's any after scene credits. I think that's the one time I didn't.
I honestly didn't. I never bother with those because with anything that's not like directly Marvel, because it's like if it is, then I'll have a copy online probably
Yeah,
within a week.
yeah.
But
I
it's like I do not have enough attachment to genuinely be like, oh no, I need to see
yeah.
what this could be teasing, because admittedly, like I feel like we saw the tease as
Yeah,
well,
it did.
especially.
And now that what they showed on the table and who they showed on the table, I'm kind of wondering what they're gonna. Why would they go back to that house
Well,
or
that's
to
the
the
thing,
cabin?
because they did just do the remake of Until Dawn, or
Yeah.
the Until Dawn remaster or whatever,
Hmm.
where it was, and I could honestly think if they wanted to, they could genuinely just do an adaptation of the first story,
Yeah.
because they also show that our doctor character, Dr. Allen, also had one for the sanitarium that is like desiccated by the time we see it in Until Dawn the game.
Yeah.
He had like 4 or 5 like key card
Badges.
yeah,
Yeah.
4 or 5 key cards, and one of them was for the one on the mountain. I'm forgetting its name off the top of my head.
Yeah. The lodge.
Yeah. Well, the sanitarium that was underneath.
Oh yeah,
It had
yeah.
its own like thing,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
and I remember seeing the name, and I wanted to point it out, but I was just like, I'll let him see if he sees it.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to those key cards. I thought I should have, and I was like, there's something probably here, but I was more focused on everything else. But yeah, I missed a little Easter egg on a key card. But I
Yeah,
did spot the Easter egg when they showed the people in the paper when he
yeah,
had all his papers laid out on
yeah.
his desk with the patients.
They have Joshua. They have
Yeah,
Josh on there,
yeah,
and they didn't use Rami Malek's picture. They used the render from the game. I
yeah,
could tell that much because of the some of the face texture thing.
yeah,
Again, there were not like this. This is definitely a budget movie. This is, hey, we have 6 actors. We have like one extra that is allowed to make some grunts, and that is
yeah.
the extent of our budget.
Was that Haley Steinfeld?
I believe so.
The sister. My thing is, what made her make it down to that town? She said she was going to New York.
Hmm.
She said, "I'm heading to New York," and she's like, "I can't stay here." I want to know what made her go down there.
Yeah, no, that is a question, because again, they start the movie. I love we talked about the ending of the movie and then talk about the opening.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, in the beginning of the movie, they mentioned that it was basically a series of breadcrumbs. Like she left a whole bunch of like videos that or like it's like it's like acted like a call, but
yeah,
like that stuff's not recorded usually. So it's like, but a year ago, similar to Until Dawn, the sister uh, vanishes off into the thing. Other stories, the I'm drawing it, Dark Pictures anthology
yes,
stuff. I'm
yes,
pretty sure there was a
yeah.
reference or
There's probably
two
some
that
people.
I missed
Yes, yeah. I probably
in
missed those
relation to that,
too.
because and honestly, I'm surprised. I'm pretty sure like a few of those pictures that we saw might have been stuff related to like Man of Medan or some stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Where
that's probably a
because like
lighthouse somewhere that wouldn't even notice or something.
mhm.
Yeah.
uh, just trying to wait. Actually, I think the explosive water might be a plot point from a different Supermassive game.
I was wondering about that because he was talking about the combustion, about self destruction.
Well, no, I get where it comes from in the movie, because again, self destruction. She tried to kill herself multiple
Yeah,
times, so having her, like again, I'm not sure how that actually applies psychologically,
yeah,
but I will let it slide because it was an unexpected death that like kind of kept your fear up. I would have said that it should have been some loops later, not just
yeah.
not like third or fourth.
They could at least let their water ran for a little bit longer because
Mm-hmm.
that when he turned it on, it was brown, and he just started drinking it immediately. Yeah, bless that man's heart,
He waited till it stopped being the wrong color,
and just started
and
drinking.
just like,
And yeah, and
anyone else? Anyone?
he drank a whole cup and then passed it around to everybody else. I would have been like, you know what? Now I'm good on that. Those pipes have been off
Like,
forever.
I think, and honestly, that could have been something they might have addressed. They should have like said in like ADR, being like, man, I'm really thirsty for some reason, even though I'd like have them drink water in the opening scene before they get out of the house. And it's
Yeah,
like, I feel really thirsty, even though it's only been like an hour since I last drank, and it's like, oh, because we also see instances where they like injuries like transpose onto their like revived self.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
he has like a black eye when
Yeah, so did the other
immediately
girl,
comes
yeah.
back, even when he got impaled, and it's like it. Admittedly, they go away really quickly. Like I
Yeah.
think like there was one scene where she had those scars, and then it was immediately healed the next time we saw her, and I was just like, all right, yeah, I understand needing to get the scene on, but it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, I again, minor nitpicks.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because every time they did get hurt, they would feel it. And I remember at the beginning, she's like, "I don't want to die again." But I mean, if you come back and you're fine, you shouldn't really feel any pain. You should be like, "All right, let's run this
Well,
again."
yeah, well, I think it is part. I think it's supposed to be like similar to. Trying to remember which one, because again, they even like address that it's like, oh, there's a whole bunch of movies that do time loops, and or like don't directly say
Yeah,
time loops, but it's time
he's like,
loops.
it doesn't work like that.
And then but that's the thing. Unfortunately for him, like I'm gonna have to be the the movie critic here. No, it has happened several times, and how it works in each one is different. I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure both in Happy Death Day and in there was another killer time loop movie where injuries did start to transpose as more injuries stacked up. Basically,
Hmm.
it wasn't exactly the same, but it was similar enough for comparison.
Yeah,
Because I'm really drawing a blank on it. It bugs me because I remembered its name in the theater, but I didn't want to just yell it out.
yeah,
Even though we were alone in that theater, and like this is the last showtime, as far as I can tell, for this copy of Until Dawn at this theater. So we are incredibly lucky.
yeah, yeah. So when they talked that I got the gas and she found out where to go. I wonder how they got in that. It was like a trance. I don't know if it was a trance. What do you want to call it? But for them to go there and then all this stuff start happening, it feels like they set themselves up in that situation. But something had to have kept them there. Like, I get, you have the Wendigo. Some sort of
I guess like
magic had to have kept them there.
there's a certain amount of that I honestly feel like again, it tried to prey on her wanting to see Melanie again, or for specifically Chloe, which drew her out into the rain, where then she got grabbed. So the loop started for her. I'm pretty sure in the instance of it was already like psychically attacking Megan for just to like keep her where she was, and like you can see like aspects, not fully to the point where I think it would actually, because like I don't know, so, like especially some of them feels like a little bit more ancillary. Like it's like why does he feel the urge to start pulling down the missing posters? Not you're
Yeah, it's like
like
everything's covered. And he just said, hey, look. And he just starts yanking things down. Like, hey, let's see what's behind here.
yeah, no, again it's like I'm willing to apply a supernatural element where his interest is drawn because of that. Move that so it's not directly in sunlight. Uh, and then with her, I'm pretty like there's a whole like because I assume that something with the sign book has to do with like continuing the ritual.
Yeah.
I'm willing to fully believe that there is a supernatural element to that because just genuinely you basically see them do the actions each as the loops continue, basically starting them right there, auto completing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I assume that has to do with something.
Yeah.
I'd say that the other minor complaint that I have is I would not have minded a. It does not need to be a montage, but a sequence of actually getting to see parts of Knight's nine. I mean, like because again we start at like nights one
Yeah.
through four, and then we immediately skip to 13, and the only things we see is like 2 videos of
I was about to say that. That was
where
my
it's like
complaint
I
too.
would not have minded. Like again,
Longer nights or shorter nights to show what happened.
yeah, no, again, this movie ran at about like an hour 43 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not have been against this being a 2-hour movie that had a little bit more padding, I mean, a little bit more in between. I'd actually, what I would do, just to make it a little bit interesting, you basically have... okay, next time we do this, I'm moving that thing out of this fucking car. But yeah, no, have basically, in between the nights, have a weird series of images that are
Something.
incoherent, but as the nights go on, you start to see more, like, you see clearer what the item is. And then it's like, once you realize, oh wait, those are the other nights. Basically, seeing, like, because again, while you can be like, oh, you put them in between 1 and 4, yeah, because you're starting to lose track of time, basically trying to hand wave that while still, having, like, at least in an editor's sense.
Yeah, they should at least show what happened because if you look at the videos, they went some places that. So if by what those videos showed, they went down the mine shaft and they went there,
They went
they
to
were
at
there.
least a boiler room in the area.
Yeah.
And then got attacked by Wendigos, which is very interesting. I would not have been against a sequence of that.
Yeah.
A short, like, 5-minute sequence. Just
because when they opened that map, there were so many places, and I feel like they only showed you what really happened at the.
I think that might have been just like a budget limitation. Like,
Yeah.
I think that is like, because again, they did the best. I mean, there's a certain part of me that is like, no, this is probably the best version we were probably gonna get of this concept.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and yes, this is giving a lot of leeway because I do like the director.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even think that his second Shazam is not that bad. But that being said, I'm not, like, gonna deny that it's
There were some issues.
Yeah,
There were some glaring issues that the movie would have been 10 times better if they would have just fixed those small issues. Like, hey, let us know what happened. You show quick a minute videos, but let us know where they were and how they got there, or what caused them to get there. Something had to send them that direction. They didn't just walk that direction.
It's because for me, would have also been interesting is if they had introduced, like, because again, they pay it off the mechanic and they show the mechanic, but you don't see the So, like, the concept of Chekhov's gun, you set it up, you remind them of the mechanic, and then you pay it off. We had the setup of the camera because we saw him walking around with it recording stuff, and we have the payoff. But what I feel like was left in the editor's bay was the reminder.
Yeah,
because there was not a moment where he tried to he went to record again and was just like, man, my battery's really low or something like that. Just something small that's basically a clue to, oh hey, there's more footage. There's footage that they're not fully aware of. Admittedly, I think this is where, okay, we should not have seen nights 1 through 4. I think we should have seen night 1, 2, and maybe 3, and then jump ahead a few nights.
Yeah.
Have that weird, like, have that somewhat garbled. In fact, you could even use the garbled mess that is in this one. You remember in the boiler room, there was a whole lot of artifacting on it.
Yes.
You could show that and be like in a specific moment, and then you see the scene later of the full thing, that immediately, like, connects to your brain. You're like, oh hey, I saw this, and you're like, you're aware. Oh, that's from in between this night and this night. And admittedly, again, I'm still gonna give the benefit of a doubt. Still like the movie, but couldn't have hurted to give it a second pass in editing.
I feel like that probably would have been like a director's cut. Beginning and end, and just like, all right, it makes a lot of sense now. I understand it. It makes sense. But there was still a lot left down there that kind of it it didn't. It did add up, but it also didn't. It's like, yeah, there could have been way more detail into this. What happened? What happened for them to be like, oh yeah, we'll just cut this part out and we'll just leave it to the viewers to be like, all right, let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that because, I mean, like, again, I am willing to, because due to the fact I do trust this director, I will willingly assume managerial managerial messing with versus rather than just assuming, oh, they just did a bad job. Because again, I've seen these people. In fact, there was actually a moment in this that reminded me of Mr. Sandberg's other movie, Lights Out. You saw where the Wendigo basically kept moving only in the night in the light.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, that one is just a oblique reference to a scene in Lights Out, because in that the monster is only able to move in the darkness.
Yeah, when she covered the flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Like I said, they definitely left some stuff out. But what I would do, I'm definitely gonna watch it again, probably when it comes out. I'm gonna watch it again because I feel like there's a lot that was missed, whether it be Easter eggs or just little tidbits of information that you should have got, and we were probably just kind of focused on the action and what's going on, and didn't really look around the scene when they actually did have lights on and not pitch black, everyone running around. But I feel like you would have to watch it again maybe 2 or 3 times to kind of catch every single thing that was there. More likely, there's going to be somebody on YouTube that points out, oh, look, here are the top 10 Easter eggs that you missed.
Oh, yeah.
That you missed.
Looper probably already has the video up.
Yeah, there's like a circle. Hey, you missed this. And, I feel like if you do that, you watch that, you'll probably see a lot more and be like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But, yeah, I really feel like they should have at least recorded it on his phone because he had a lot of videos.
Yeah, he had a lot, which admittedly, like, I appreciate that they were like, hey, they showed a decent amount of videos to show, hey, it's been a bit, and admittedly, I think that honestly might have been the better place for actually expositing this stuff rather than having it be through the doctor's videos, have it be him recording the thing on the main.
Yeah.
It's basically in a separate loop. But yeah, no, again, that one's more of a personal thing where I'm like, I prefer, if you are going to do a time loop thing, have the expedition found in a previous loop be relevant to them now, type thing. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and then they had all those videos in the evidence bag. I want to know, there was more tapes there.
Well, I think that's where it relates to stuff like the up on Mount Massive and all that stuff in relation to the events of the other game. Although with my encyclopedic knowledge of these video games, what they show is not, while it looks similar to the cabin that you see in the games, it is not exactly the same because of one specific reason. You see a car pulling up to the house.
Yeah, not taking that little rail system.
Yeah, no, it's not taking the gondola, which is the only way up to the house, because it's supposed to be separate from the thing until dawn. And again, I do like what they chose what to pivot around, because again, having it just be, oh, we need to survive the night, might not be as interesting, and especially, I think if he was told, hey, he's got to have Wendigos, you've got to have a mass killer, you've got to have XYZ, and you need to last until dawn, and that's basically all he was given as a outline, I think this is a solid application of that.
Okay, I agree.
Like, because, again, especially as someone who is as prolific a horror fan as I am, it's like, yeah, no, having a mass killer show up, having it scare the group, and then having the Wendigo show up probably wouldn't be as interesting to me. Like, just outright.
Yeah, because you would find a way to just kill him.
Yeah, no, again, especially because it's like, and the fact that we have such a small group that can die over and over again, like, that is part of what I think really actually does work for this, is because you don't need a large cast if you can kill them repeatedly. Which is why what they chose in this instance, which is why all the effects were done the way they were. And honestly, like, full props to the special effects team, because, like, I can tell that's not digital blood, and it looked fucking stellar.
Yeah,
it was a great, like, those were some great kills.
Yeah. how they showed Easter eggs in this one. I wonder if they do the next one, when they show the people getting to the house. I wonder if they'll find tapes there of what happened in the woods, and at least they'll show that missing footage.
Mm-hmm.
So people, if you've seen the first one,
Honestly,
you can put it together.
that would be actually very interesting if they were to basically tie them to interlink them.
Yeah, with
where
the
it's
doctor.
like you get to see a similar, like, you basically get to see a report made by the guy, but it's slightly different because of XYZ.
Yeah.
And, like, I think you hear his breath again at the very end, so it's like, okay, he's obviously bizarrely immortal.
Yeah, so he exploded, but he's back.
Yeah, like, I think, and again, I think that's also something that could be very interesting, because I'm wondering if they're trying to tie it into his character, the Curator, which is the character from the Dark Pictures.
Yes.
Where, let me just make sure that's, okay, we're still recording. But yeah, no, I'm thinking they might tie it into the Dark Pictures by having it relate to the Curator character that he embodies. And I think that honestly might be their plan for going forward with this franchise.
Yeah.
Because I honestly do think that while they might, I'm not sure if they're going to be calling it Until Dawn for the rest of these. Well, I think they might call the next two.
Yeah.
Because it's like Until Dawn 2, those having it, and then probably pivoting the name into something.
Yeah.
I think it might be the case, because again, this is definitely trying to build to a franchise, which is why it is. And that's honestly what I think is why there might be some limitations on this, because they needed to make it micro budget so that it was still successful even if it failed, but they also wanted to make it ready for more sequels, so they needed to at least have one sequel bait. And again, but also they had all the other cards, so I think they can be like, oh hey, if we don't want to tell the story of Mount Massive and all the stuff that happens up on the mountaintop, we can do another story with the exact same character, and basically they have Stormare signed for a 5-movie contract or something like that.
Yeah, I gotta see how much the budget was in a movie and how much it actually made so far. Because that will tell you if there's gonna be a second one coming out. Because if it didn't do so well, it probably won't be.
Honestly, like, that's the thing. We've definitely gotten to a point where, like, because honestly, them choosing Mr. Sandberg, fantastic choice.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of the best budget directors you will ever see. Like, Shazam didn't do fantastic at the box office. It still made, like, generally a profit because of the methods that he uses to basically cut costs.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm seeing that here. I'm seeing very much that it's like, all you need is like a decent, like, and then that's the thing. I think this is like the end of its end of its run in theaters. Probably like Thunderbolt's basically pushing it out. Pushing all of them out. I could definitely see that this is. I could see like this could probably do well enough to. In fact, actually, all right. It's just enough of a thing so that it can pop up. But yeah, so yeah, running time making 103 minutes. That's exactly like that is just enough to get past like feature length qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
Budget of $15 million and a box office of $34.8 million.
Okay, so they made more than half their money.
They made more than half their money, and with how little advertising there was for this, I would definitely say they probably didn't spend that much on the marketing. Like, again, micro budget thing, gonna be very much the main way for this to like go forward. I can honestly see them probably, like, they probably even already interviewed the guy over sequel ideas.
Yeah.
He probably was like, yeah, no, that Mount Massive's not the only one. Like, I'm interested in some of the other ones that I saw, like some of the other ideas, because again, I don't want to see Until Dawn again. Like, I didn't go for the remaster anyway, because I wasn't that interested in seeing it again. I'm more interested in something like Directive 8020.
Okay.
Which is Dark Pictures' newest thing, although it's removed the Dark Pictures anthology thing, but it's still made by Supermassive.
Okay.
Honestly, I've gotten everything I wanted to really say about it. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'd give that movie like I said, a 7 out of 10. I know they have so much material, so I can't wait to see where they go with it. I have a feeling, like I said, all that lost footage, it's gonna pop up in other films,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's gonna tie it all together. Like, Doctor was here, and this was his last assignment at this building, and I think it's gonna tie it all together. I just have to watch
Mm-hmm.
it a few times. I'm gonna watch it a few times and actually pay attention to things going on outside of the film, like
Mm-hmm.
outside of the main character sitting there talking, like stuff in the background, things in the wall, things in the
Yeah, no, there
window.
was. I think there was a part where we both noticed that the killer mask was in a scene, but he didn't attack.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was one scene where they were basically like chatting, and we saw the mask for a split second, and we both like made note of it, and then the guy never attacked in that run because that was the or yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't
he
attack
didn't
until
attack.
yeah.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see what happens after. I hope they come out with a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of like you said with the marketing, I don't think they probably didn't market it much,
Oh,
but
they did.
because
They pushed this. People expected it to be like terrible, and honestly, some people do think it's terrible. But
it wasn't
like,
bad. No, not at all.
yeah, no. Well, again, so, some of them, some of the people are a little bit pickier about this type of stuff. Where I'm like,
But a
sit,
lot of people, I think, going to see these movies played Until Dawn, and I think they set their expectation
yeah,
exactly for that, and we're hoping like, all right, so they're gonna be, and they're gonna be in this cabin somewhere,
mm-hmm.
and all this stuff's gonna happen. Like, oh, it's gonna be an adaptation exactly from the game, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought that too, and then when I started watching, I was like, I said they're doing something a little different. And then I started seeing the Easter eggs. I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty neat. It's something different. I was like, with
mm-hmm.
all the movies that have coming out, slashes, killer, it was just something different. It was refreshing to see
Yeah.
something different.
I guess we should probably mention this before we wrap up. I honestly like the town, the design of this like kind of town. It led to a very interesting like
Yeah,
type of navigation around it because in the story, because admittedly I think this will be what ties the entire thing together is basically mass trauma.
yeah,
Basically, series of events that ruin an area, and it's like so. In this one, the town basically fell into a valley,
yeah,
caused by over mining, stuff, and basically it meant that the entire town is underground, which led to some very interesting like design because we found like there was like this one instance of they accidentally stepped on a roof, being on a glass roof, and fell through because that was a roof before, and because
yeah,
it's the type of thing where it's like now you get to make the kills and all that type of stuff a little bit more interesting because not only do you have this underground area which is dug out, like it's like a fallen in mines and all that stuff
hmm
and all the stuff that's clearly been like revived over the course of time. But the other thing is just like having all this stuff. Like again, I think honestly what I do hope they kind of like build on because the entire like I hope that they kind of move away from Wendigos
hmm
because this was very much the first time where they kind of lost some of the mythos of
yes,
it. Because they didn't really mention anything about flamethrowers being the one way they actually die.
hmm
Because that's what weakens their skin in the game.
yeah,
But in this, I think we have one die to like a spike on the ground.
yes, we did, yes,
And then, but before that, they were seemingly fine with getting a bear trap to the face. But
yeah. I wonder how they got that off. She had a hard time getting it off, but
well, it's because it was a time loop.
yeah,
The loop started again, and they were able to get out.
yeah, and then then he tossed it on the girl, and then all of a sudden they came back again, and she
Mm.
was perfectly fine. She must have ripped it off her face.
Yeah, no, let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else that maybe I do want to mention. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I probably agree with you. 7 out of 10 needs more bikes and cats.
Yeah, I want to know what happened to the cat. The cat
The
got involved.
the
cat got stuck in a loop.
We cut back to the snow, and the cat's the one that like
Yeah, and
the
if
cat's in the mountains, and it's like, the hell did you get
yeah,
up
and if you
here?
kept flipping through the guest book, you'll see paw prints like for 13 days, and you'll see bike tire tracks on one of the other page for 13 days. I want to know what happened to this bike and this cat apparently that was missing. Kind of feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like the kid that went missing. So they didn't have any Wendigo kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if that's the case, if that's what he was doing, experience, that means some kid was eating someone else's flesh in one of these rooms that they didn't show.
Well, again, I think that's where the mention of the kid did remind me where they seem to be turning into Wendigo without actually eating human flesh, which is part of the ritual. Which is why I'm like, I kind of hope they move away from that because while yes, hopelessness and the desperation to eat human flesh is what can cause a Wendigo, I think having more monsters, having different, like, kind of making your own version of Cabin in the Woods
Mm-hmm.
would not go amiss. It's like, because you have so many monsters, you have so many concepts that you can go with. If you want to do an Until Dawn, I don't think they need to have Wendigos. Like, that's why I'm like, I kind of hope that going forward, we are willing to have the concept be survive until dawn or something like that, or just survive. Because
Yeah.
The supermassive game that was the one in Iraq with Ashley Tisdale,
Mm-hmm.
drawing a blank on its name. That one's very interesting because it's about, like, I think, if I remember correctly, it's about, like, Sumerian vampires and stuff like that.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And it's, like, very interesting because they're just underground, and I think that might even be where some of the ideas for this came from, was having to fight underground is a very interesting tactic because the world feels different down there. But yeah, no, it's definitely something that's very...
They can go anywhere with this.
Yeah,
they
can go anywhere, and I hope they go anywhere, because I do not, while I wouldn't mind seeing a version of Until Dawn done by Mr. Sandberg, I do not need one done by him.
Yeah, there's so many other places you can go with this. They have to explore it. Hopefully they do that. And hopefully they come out, like I said, with a second one and they give the green light for it.
Mm-hmm.
Have him direct at the helm directing again. That would be great. I'd go see that. But I probably, like I said, I probably have to watch this. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to watch this probably like 3 or 4 more times. And I'll probably get with you and point things up. Like, hey man, did you see that? Like, we didn't see that before. And we probably have to watch it like 3 or 4 more times and just go through
Truly
it.
appreciate it.
Yeah, go through it just
Yeah.
to watch it and then be like, yeah, you know what, we did miss this.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, hey, it's like, if a movie feels good enough to rewatch, then that's a good movie.
Yeah,
Like,
I
end
agree.
of the day, like, there is, as of current time of recording, my video review of Rebel Moon, or my like commentary on Rebel Moon, just went up, and I'm like, I was dreading me editing that, and that was just because I had to see it a second time.
God. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
we'll definitely get together. If you want, we'll get together and watch this again after, and then we'll see.
Definitely consider it, because it's one of
Yeah.
those things where it's like, admittedly, I think it might just be one of those things where I'd probably be like, hey, want to do a follow up, and basically just do it like over.
All
Again,
nights in one.
I am actually very curious who the editor is for this, because again, with how dark it was, it doesn't feel like Adam Sandberg was the one that chose to have it be that dark.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I am curious about the editor and what other work they've done, and if it's like, if that's what current, like, kind of hurt this movie
Mm-hmm.
to a certain degree, because again, editor has a lot of control that people don't fully acknowledge or realize.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you can have a weeding cut where where a lot of context kind of changes or a lot of scenes are redone, but you can also just have it be like in similar case to Star Wars Episode 4, where the editing basically saved the movie because he wanted to focus on a lot of other things, and his wife at the time, or George Lucas's wife at the time, was like, "Hey, I'm editing this. I'm fixing it for you."
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Where it's like,
what you did was horrendous, but we're just gonna fix it and put some band-aids on it, kind of get it out there.
yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, yes, there is a certain part of me that is like, I do want to think about the stuff that's going forward, but at the same time, still very solid movie.
It is.
Very,
Yeah.
and that's what I'll say. Should definitely give it a watch, because nothing wrong with a good horror movie.
Yeah. Nah. If you're a fan of the game, don't go in there expecting the same exact game. Expect just go in there with a clear mind, because if you go in there like I did, I was expecting the game. I was like, oh, this would be just like that. Yeah, no, you're not gonna be disappointed. It's gonna throw you for a loop. But just don't go in there go in there with a clear mind, and you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it, and you're gonna hope that there's more, because there's so much more lore out there. You're gonna hope for more films and more things set up.